Of an ice cold Dr. Pepper, college football, it's a pepper thing. Along with Michelle Swellman, Chris Canty, Evan Cohen with you. So much drama everywhere in sports, which is what we love. Milwaukee with Giannis, LA with Chris Paul, Detroit and Dallas tonight, Thursday night football, college football playoff committee. Penn State can't find a coach. Whew. Good morning, everybody. How are we doing today? Small CC?
It's a lot going on in the world of sports.
Yeah, love it.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
A lot of drama.
Yeah. This shit's like Nirvana for you, isn't it?
Drama? I love drama.
You got drama, but then you got the mix of the trade machine.
Oh, yeah.
You got the playoff machine with NFL postseason.
Yes. Coaching
ramifications, coaching carousel.
Yeah, I love this stuff.
You got a lot going on
right
now.
up my alley. I love this kind of stuff.
Terry Rozier's expiring contract now has value somehow, some way.
Wait, what?
Yeah, it's just like.
Did I miss something?
No.
Are they allowed to trade him?
But that's the thing. Nobody really knows. But until somebody says,
why are you trying to throw me off?
But
like
I'm just saying, until somebody says no, then
no, I don't. Well, I don't.
Until somebody says no.
That'd be great. Just make a trade and be like,
it's an expiring contract.
Wow. Okay, you just threw me for a loop.
With the legal ramifications.
I thought they weren't allowed to, but if they are, go for it, Miami. So let's talk about what's going on in Milwaukee right now. So first of all, Giannis, unfortunately, in a win for the Bucks last night over Detroit, which is a heck of a win. Detroit's awesome this year. Got hurt, and he had a strained right calf injury. Okay, and while that could seem minimal, the 2019 NBA Finals have changed the way we look at Cavs, right? If you look at it, that's when Kevin Durant got hurt, the calf to the Achilles, and now we understand that better, and people like CC probably understood that forever. But for Smalls and I, as average everyday fans and members of the media for 20-plus years covering teams, we did not think of it that way like we think about it now. So when you see Giannis go down last night with a strained right calf, you get really nervous. We'll get to the trade thing in a second, because you're like, oh my God forbid, if he plays too soon, could something really, really bad happen? So just keep that in mind as to if you're someone out there who thinks, yeah, he's going to get traded in season, there's a conversation to be had. Has he played his last game with the Bucks? Because are they going to be cautionary with his injury, right? Okay, so that's number one. Number two, Shams Charania, senior NBA insider, goes on NBA Today yesterday and gives this update with Giannis after it was discovered over the last couple of days that he stripped all of his social media of all Bucks stuff, which actually technically happened last week, but we just didn't notice it as much as we noticed it within the last 48 hours. So Shams went in and gave this update on NBA Today yesterday at 3 p.m. Eastern on ESPN with Malik Andrews.
Essentially, there were failed trade talks in August. There was a multi-week exclusive negotiating window for the New York Knicks, as it was described to me, on a potential Giannis Antetokounmpo trade. They were aware, the Bucks were aware, the parties that needed to know were aware that Giannis Antetokounmpo, if there was a team outside of Milwaukee, he wanted to play for the Knicks. No deal happened. And John Horst, the Bucks general manager, who has creatively made time and time again, Drew Holiday in 2020, Damian Lillard in 2023, then the Miles Turner acquisition, he has creatively found ways to maneuver and make this team better. He had done it again, and Doc Rivers, they had sold Giannis Antetokounmpo and ownership on a championship contending team. And this is a results-based business, a results-based situation. Giannis Antetokounmpo has made it clear he wants winning. And so the results have spoken for themselves. And if they keep trending this way, this is just the start for even more hard conversations to come. And also, like I keep saying, the inevitable writing on the wall, as one source told me today.
Okay, so Doc Rivers had something to say about this before the game last night, which we will get to in a second. But first, Small CC, you hear that information from Shams, and you think what about Giannis's future?
That he loves Milwaukee, he loves the Bucks, but he loves winning more. And the Bucks are 10-13. They've lost 8 of their past 10 games. They're in 10th place in the East. And I'm sure that this is a very uncomfortable position for Giannis to be in, because we know how he's spoken at length publicly about how much he loves being in Milwaukee, and he thought he was going to stay there because it was going to be a winning product. But in this landscape of the NBA, where all of his peers are moving around all of the time in order to find the most advantageous position for them to win rings, and he is thirsty for another one, it doesn't seem like Milwaukee, at least right now, is the place for him to satisfy that.
Yeah, but I just don't know how Milwaukee ends up moving him during the season to his preferred destination and them being able to recoup the haul that they would need in order to rebuild their franchise. That's why I think it's more likely than not that Giannis ends up staying put for the remainder of the season and something happens in the offseason. I think the realities of where he wants to go and what that team would have to offer, it just doesn't feel like it doesn't feel like they'll be capable of giving Milwaukee what he wants in return. When you look at the trade package that the New York Knicks could potentially give the Milwaukee Bucks, it's going to have to be player-led because they don't really have a whole lot of draft assets to offer them, right? They got Washington's pick, but that's top 8 protected, so that's not even a guarantee. They could offer him even-year pick swaps.
It's a guarantee you don't get it. They stink.
But that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I'm saying, to your point.
You could offer him even-year pick swaps, 26, 28, and 30, which has value to Milwaukee, but I don't think that's going to be enough, so it's going to have to be player-led. The Knicks don't want to give up OG Anunoby, which undoubtedly the Milwaukee Bucks would have to demand. Deuce McBride would have to be included in that. I just don't see a world where the Knicks in a 2-team trade would be able to put together a package that would make sense for the Milwaukee Bucks. And then when you consider the other teams that the Knicks could recruit to get involved in it, in terms of being able to add draft assets to a package, those are the same teams that are interested in trading for Giannis. Right? The Atlanta Hawks, they have 2 valuable assets, including Milwaukee's first-round pick in 26, but more importantly, New Orleans' first-round pick in 26. So, I mean, that's a team that could put together a really attractive package of players and picks. You would include Zachary Richichet, you could include Trae Young to make the money work. There are a lot of things that Atlanta could do in order to put together a team that will be formidable in the Eastern Conference, but Giannis doesn't want to go there. So I just think that it's way too complicated to try to pull off a move in the middle of the season. And if you're the Milwaukee Bucks, you understand that, which is why I think that they'll try to oblige him and find a way to do a deal with the Knicks, but they're not going to give Giannis away just because Giannis is unhappy.
Well, I totally agree with everything you're saying right now, and I think that I want to just point out one thing. This is a little bit different relationship than I think a lot of star players with teams in sports. I believe Giannis has given every ounce of himself on and off the court to Milwaukee and the Bucks. I also believe the Bucks have given every ounce of themselves relative to creative moves. How can we pull this off? Where did they were never even rumored for Dame Lillard, and they're like, you know what? Screw it. Why not go for him? And then they're like, oh my God, he's going to be out for the next year plus. We know we're on the clock with Giannis. What in the world can we do? And they somehow end up with their best free agent on the market in Miles Turner. So I give them a lot of credit. By the way, what I would do if I'm them is until he asks out, which Shams did not say he has asked out, just to be clear on that. Brian Windhorst has said over the summer he asked about a trade to the New York Knicks, which we all know to be true, right? But he has not asked out. So until he asks out, I am exhausting everything I could possibly exhaust. I'm looking around, all right, where are the bad contracts with good players that I may have? All right, do I look at Zach LaVine? Do I look at DeMar DeRozan? Do I look at Paul George? Do I look at any of these guys and say, how do I come up with last-ditch efforts? Because there's only one Giannis. I'm never going to get another version of this guy.
No.
An international superstar, built the way he's built, committed the way he's committed, literally could care less about being friends with anyone other than what you said, Smalls, being friends with a victory. That's his biggest friend, right? He's one of one. You will never find somebody like him again. And unfortunately, we all know, because we've spent time there for our show, that the great state of Wisconsin is great for athletes. You can't expect a guy like that to want to sign there in the future. They have what's called the Deer District in and around the Fiserv Forum, and that's their arena. And they have built an entire community for people to come and show up and support this team in restaurants, etc.
It's awesome.
It's very cool.
And it's because of him. And they'll be the first ones to tell you that. So this is not like, yeah, let's just get rid of him. He's a pain in the tuchus. They don't want to get rid of this guy. And Doc Rivers, and by the way, he doesn't really want to get rid of them. But it goes back to what you said is, are we going to win? And if they don't think they can win a championship, and he doesn't think they can win a championship, that's when it gets to that point. But Doc Rivers, understandably so, head coach of the Bucks, was very frustrated pregame about the Giannis trade stuff.
So here we go again. There's been no conversations. Yeah, it's different in the middle of the season because the season's going on, and you have to answer these questions again.
I get it. It makes sense. Do you want to go to the trade machine or no?
Yeah, obviously.
Go for it.
Okay. So the Knicks are the obvious one. CC pointed it out. The Knicks don't have the obvious moves to make, right? They don't have the obvious players that Milwaukee would want. So the teams that I would say will probably make a call or Giannis could potentially be interested in. Total guess. Knicks, obvious. Spurs. I think the Hawks will make a lot of calls because of what CC said in terms of the assets they have. Does he want to go to Atlanta? I don't know that. I think Toronto's an interesting one too. They have a lot of young players on that team. International city. I think it's a big market, obviously. that one's interesting. I think Dallas has a lot of big players, obviously. The one that I'm going to keep coming back to over and over again is 1-2, Golden State. Golden State's the one I'm going to keep coming back to. Houston could get in the mix as well. They have a ton of assets.
How does it work with Golden State?
Giannis and Kuzma for Butler and Kuminga. Done and done.
Why would you want Butler back?
What, if you're Milwaukee?
Yeah.
You trade him again. You get him to trade him. And now it's like, okay, so now I got the young guy. And by the way, Warriors have picks. Then I use Butler to another move somewhere else. That's a team that's close, that needs nasty on their team. I'm like, okay, there's an $89,000 difference, I believe. And so that actually could make a difference, as crazy as that sounds. But so that's where I'm thinking. That I agree with CC. In season doesn't make sense. But if it's in season to play with Steph Curry and Giannis is like, I don't know if I want to do this, move my life. Now his family's back in Greece, right? But if he's like, I don't know if I want to move my life for this. For that guy, Steph Curry, you walk to San Francisco, to the Bay. It's Steph Curry. That's the one team I'm going to keep coming back to that I wonder, could that be the last move to increase and lengthen the Warriors dynasty?
So 3,000 miles away from where he really wants to go.
Well, but you made the point. Well, no, hold on. I'm talking about the in-season.
Yeah.
The in-season. After the season? No, it's the Knicks and the Knicks.
Move around?
Yeah, but if it's the in-season, see, that's where it gets interesting. I believe most teams probably believe what we believe is, he's not going to really sign off on a trade in-season. So how do you make it work? You got to offer something to him and to the Bucks that is so attractive.
So basically what you're saying is Giannis would be an in-season rental?
No, then you start building around him and you transition moving forward. But I'm just saying, I agree with what you're saying, CC, of like, I don't know that I buy that he's going to get traded in season.
No.
I think they'll try to just tinker with the roster now and upgrade it now and try to convince him and make him ask out, which he doesn't really want to do deep down. But if it's presented where he could play with Steph Curry, you change your mind on things in that scenario.
Well, here's the thing, and I don't hate what you're saying, but if you're the Milwaukee Bucks, if you're their general manager, aren't you begging Giannis to entertain the possibility of Golden State, if for no other reason to get the New York Knicks to move off of some of the pieces that they really don't want to trade?
That's a good one, too.
Leverage other teams that seem like they would be viable options, that seem like they would put Giannis in the championship conversation again, in order to get the New York Knicks to do what they wouldn't do this past offseason. And if you're the Knicks looking around at the Eastern Conference, who scares you?
No, if the Knicks get Giannis, I'm not kidding, no matter who they give up, they're the favorite.
But that's my point.
Literally, if they gave up Jalen Brunson, they're still the favorite in the East if you pair